Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Streamed live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. I am Tommy Lewis, President and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. As you can see, I am by myself. Eric Ellis, my brother and my dear friend, is traveling. He's on location, traveling back to this area of the great Midwest. But I do hope that he and his family have safe travels and enjoyed your time away. It's the holiday season. So not only do I hope that Eric and his family enjoys safe travels, I hope that you do as well. I'm excited to be with you all today. Now, here's why I'm excited. This week, I learned a few things. I learned that people are something else. Yeah, that's a news flash. For those who are less familiar with working with people, dealing with issues and conflict and just people not playing well in the sandbox, people can be a trip. And my job for the last 30 years has been to help individuals and organizations uncover their inherent strengths for sustained growth. In other words, I believe that people have the answers within themselves, but sometimes we get in our own ways. In fact, not only do we get in our own way, but sometimes we get in other people's way based on our style and preference and kind of who we are. So we want to unpack that a little bit today. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about how to deal with challenging personalities, right? Now, I do know that I'm not talking to you because you don't have a challenging personality. You're perfect. I'm perfect. All of us are perfect except those people who have those challenging personalities. I would say to you that as we are thinking of other people and their challenging personalities and how they land on us, how might we land on other people? The way we think, the way we speak, the way we behave, not only at work or at home, but that just in everyday life, that everyone is not receiving us well. We are not their cup of tea. And so this is not only an exploration of understanding how we might deal with challenging personalities, but also how we might deal with some challenging and concerning personalities of ourselves, our own style. So we're going to jump right into it. Again, I would like to invite the community to chime in today. In fact, we will have at a later time in our program this morning an opportunity for you to join live. So not just do a chat, we always welcome the chat communication, but also to join live. Now, we can have more than one person. So if the community joins us, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, the more the merrier. Let's have a conversation around real lived experiences, because I'm going to share some with you today. There are some relationships that I've had in years past and currently that I'm like, good grief, this personality is a problem. I'm struggling to deal with this type of personality, right? So let's unpack this a little bit. I'm going to read a couple of notes that I have and allow you all to chime in as I share my 2 cents as well. Challenging personalities in the workplace or at home can include the gossiper, the narcissist, the passive aggressive person, the complainer, the perfectionist, The critic, the anger addict. Ooh, that's a good one. The know-it-all, the micromanager, and that's at work and at home. The overly negative person, right? The unrealistic team member or unrealistic family member, and the person who constantly interrupts or dominates conversations. All of these personalities are folks who can create difficulties in collaborating with you and having maybe a strong and healthy relationship, or if it's at work, create some difficulties with team dynamics due to their behaviors. And so I want to just back up before we jump into specific characteristics. I want to talk about some of these folks that are actually in my life, right? Let's start with the complainer. Now, I find myself complaining about the complainer, right? Our producer, Lydia, and I had a conversation about this morning, complaining about the complainer. I'm sick and tired of the complainer who does not have a solution, an answer. Now, I'm okay with complaining, voicing one's discomfort, voicing one's disagreement. I'm okay with that. What's your answer? Don't just complain for complaining's sake. Now, do you know someone like that? I would like for you to share that in the chat. Don't name the person, just name the behavior. How does someone complain? Right. So I'll share with you this. I know people who go out to eat, go to restaurants, and they may get a meal and they're unhappy about the meal and they complain about the meal. And when the waiter comes back and they're complaining to the waiter may go get the manager. Then the manager comes and understand that you're not happy with your meal. Nope, it's a little tough, and it doesn't taste kind of what I expected. Is there anything that we can do? No, there's nothing you can do. You can't make it better at this moment. Well, I'm not saying can we make the dish that you had better. Is there anything else we can do? Nope. Just wanted to let you know that it's tough. What do you do with that? What would the manager or the waiter or anyone do with that? You're just complaining. And when I offer up a platform for you to share a solution, an answer, maybe a fix to your experience, you offer nothing. You're just complaining for complaining's sake, right? I don't understand that. Because if I'm going to complain about it and you offer up to me, what can we do? I don't know if I can get a little bit off the bill. I don't know if I can get a dessert. I don't know if I can get another dish, right? Because the fish is a little tough, a little gamey, right? It may be undercooked or overcooked. Can I get another dish? And now I don't want to pay for the fish here that I don't like, but the spaghetti, I'll do that. I don't know. I got a lot of folks like this in my life. Right? And again, I know I'm the only one that have these folks in my life. I do have an anger addict in my life, always angry. You all don't hear me. Not only complaining, but always trying to start some drama, straight drama, as if they are. I'm sorry. It's as if they are motivated by pushing my buttons or trying to. Right. We'll talk about some techniques of how to manage these different difficult and challenging personalities. But this person is always mad about something. In fact, that's what we say about them. They're always mad about something. Calm down, relax. You mad, you angry. About what? Because I was just walking along and taking care of my business, just on my merry way. and you come along with a call or a text or showing up just mad. Well, why are you so difficult? Why are you trying to create problems? I don't know. So for me, for those who don't know, I've been working in conflict resolution for about 20 years. My business has been in place for 30 years. Eric has been in business longer than I have. And I think he does a great job in managing conflict. For 20 years, about 30%, maybe 20% of my day is working with conflict, either one-on-one through coaching and the conflicts that that person may have with another person or a group of people, or it's through team dynamics. I'm doing a lot of traveling to Colorado, to Texas, to Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, Michigan. I'm doing a lot of traveling, working with small groups of 4 or 5 people or larger groups of 30 people who cannot get along with each other and folks are angry. I spend 4, 5, 6 hours with folks, allowing them to share their own perspectives, their own experiences, complain and moan and all this other stuff and hear other folks. And then when the energy gets high, I come in, hey, time out. Let's go back to our corners. From a professional perspective, the approach is I'm the mediator. I'm the go-between. And so I don't have a kind of a dog in the fight. That's from the professional level. Personally, all of that energy comes into me as well. When I hear that someone is experiencing some injustice, being treated unfairly, just mad. If I'm around that enough, I get mad too. I get frustrated. I get discouraged. So I have to go through my personal techniques to really exercise myself from that energy. But there's some people who are very skilled at transferring their anger into you. We do have the overly negative person, the negative Nancy, if you will, right? The negative Norm. Why are you so negative? These are the folks that when you say good morning to them in the morning, what's so good about the morning? What? What happened? I just said good morning. Good morning. What's your problem? We like to say things like, did you roll out the bed on the wrong side, right? Did you step on a tack on your way to the office, right? Did something happen to you when you were a child? At the end of the day, none of that matters except how it's presenting itself in the moment. That whatever has gone through that person's life up to this point, that's them. That there's a reason why a person may be negative, if not overly negative. Cannot see the silver lining in any event, situation, or conversation. There is a reason why the person finds a crack in every foundation, finds a way out of every good relationship, looks at the negative side of everything. It is the but person, B-U-T. Hey, I woke up this morning. God was good to me to wake me up, but I have to deal with this person at work. But my neck is hurting. My back is hurting. My knee is hurting. But I have some sniffles. I don't know if I'm coming down with a cold or not. Always the but. Sit your butt down then. Overly negative person, sit down. Right? We have folks who build entire ecosystems around negativity. They build an ecosystem of social media. They build an ecosystem of mass media. They build an ecosystem around their life that's based on negativity. For some people, negativity is attractive. Now, for me, I don't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? That's the meme, right? Ain't nobody got time for that. The reason why I don't have time for that type of negativity is because when you and I are blessed to have life and to have lived life long enough, you have weathered and survived enough battles. You have won a number of wars. You have made it through the journey and you are on the other side. You know it's just for the moment. You won that battle, you won that war, but life is what it is. If you live enough life, you understand that there's more life to live if I'm granted and blessed with the opportunity to live it. And so, how am I going to spend my time? The most valuable thing I have. Time is more valuable than currency. Time is more valuable than property. Time is more valuable than anything except relationships and love. So, how am I going to spend my time to have more love with better relationships? Negative Nancy, negative Norm, miss me with that. I'm getting all hijacked this morning, folks, because I do have some folks in my life that like to keep drama going. They like to keep it going. And I got some other folks in my life who know about these drama creators, not content creators like it's a podcast or some type of YouTube show or channel. Now, these are drama creators. They like to mix it up. I'm telling you, they're down in the basement with their big kettle full of soup and water, and they're mixing up things like the Wicked Witch of the West. Yeah, you heard me. I'm calling you out. Without your name, get out of the basement and elevate your own life and stop being the overly negative person, the unreliable team member, the person who constantly wants to dominate the conversation or interrupt. So let's talk about the interrupters. All right, just for a moment. What's up with the interrupters? I'm watching television, and television today is different than it was in yesteryear. You all are old enough to remember yesteryear. And in yesteryear, television, be it television shows or news broadcasts and things like that, their communication style was the volleyball style. I say something and I volley it over the net to you. And I'm listening to you as you speak, and then you volley it back over to me, right? And then I volley it over to the other person. Hey, Jim, what are your thoughts? Jim receives the ball, kind of manages the ball of conversation, and then volleys it back over the net to someone else. It was a nice little ping and a pong. That's good. I can follow it. That's good. Oh, I don't agree with that. I agree with that. Now, straight rugby. Can we ever get through a conversation without someone interrupting? Let me finish my thought. For crying out loud, you asked me the question, right? And before I could take a breath and clear my throat and begin to answer, you're already interjecting, interrupting, disrespecting. Now, when it's virtual, the disrespect is what it is. You may be able to mute a microphone or even hide a video camera so that you don't see the person or hear the person. When it's in person and the interruption is happening, now I'm feeling some type of way. And I'll tell you this right now, community, just like any of you, we want to be good people, but don't catch us on the wrong day. Eric says that all the time. On my good days, I'm this. But if you catch me on my bad day, I got to see you, right? And so if you keep interrupting me, I may smile at you. I may take off my glasses for a minute, right? And so that you know I'm not smiling because I'm happy. I'm smiling because I'm about to get in. Good grief, today I have to put on my filter, put on my glasses. I have to come over and have a more diplomatic and direct conversation with you, Mr. or Mrs. Interrupter. You don't want this smoke because I work hard and I have worked hard over 30 years in business and X amount of years of life to say, yeah, I got to calm myself, regulate myself, because I don't need this energy and I don't need to even remember the negative experience with you after it's over. I don't want you living rent free in my head because I allowed myself to get emotionally hijacked because you want to interrupt somebody in person or virtually. There's a lot of keyboard bullies out here, good people. Yeah, keyboard bullies. They like to talk real slick behind the keyboard, behind the monitor. Then when you see them in person, right, out in the community or at home, at the office, they act in some type of way that's different. No, 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 hold up, hold up. Bring that same energy that you had over the keyboard right now. What I'm talking about right now, good people, is not a threat. Uh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about consistency in dealing with challenging personalities. Because there's some personalities that, they talk a good talk behind the curtain, but they don't walk that walk when it's face to face. Let's continue to explore this. All right. Here's some key characteristics of challenging personalities. I'll just read a few. Lack of respect of boundaries, right? There's folks that don't respect others' time, space, or opinions. And feel free, community, to chime in with any experience you have with folks who lack respect of or for boundaries. Negative attitude, constant complaining, negativity, even undermining others' ideas or thoughts or comments. And these are folks that may say, "Hey, listen, I'm not going to talk anymore. What do you think?" And then you begin to share your thoughts, and they say, "What? That's stupid." Right? Anyway, I don't even know why you even think that way. What? You just asked me, what do I think? And you're going to cut me off and interrupt me because I'm just telling you what I think, giving you my opinion? You know what? I'm tired of talking to you. Right? Next time you ask me a question, stop. Interrupt yourself when you ask me a question because you keep interrupting me when I answer the question. Negative attitude, poor communication skills, not actively listening, interrupting, or not clearly expressing needs. These are some key characteristics of those challenging personalities. The unreliability, missing deadlines, not following through with commitments. I don't know if you all know folks like that either say they're going to be there and never show up, even folks that never respond to the RSVP and then they show up. So if you're going to host the dinner, because it's holiday season, we just left Thanksgiving. Now we're going into the Christmas season, the Hanukkah season, the Kwanzaa season, the Feliz Navidad season. We're going into the holiday season. We're going to invite friends and family over with us. We may need to get a head count because I'm going to buy some food and some beverages. I don't want to spend too much money to have too much waste. So I want to maybe send out this quick RSVP, right? And folks don't RSVP and they show up. Don't be mad if you don't have enough food for you. Right? Don't be mad. Let's pause here and go back to Tracy. And thank you, Tracy. So we're talking about how does one understand or know boundaries? Good. So if a person is interacting with you and they have crossed a boundary that you have set, but they are unfamiliar with the boundary, the first step is for you to be accountable, for you to articulate what that boundary is. No one knows your boundary until they crossed it and you have let them know that they've crossed the boundary. It could be something they have said, it could be something they have done, but whatever your boundary is, and sometimes your boundaries change with different people. For example, you can have a particular conversation with a sibling. There can be some colorful language. There can be some physical contact, right? We know that with siblings, it happens all the time. But then because you and your siblings have been brother and sister or whatever for some time, you know what the boundary is because it was established many moons ago. But then you interact with another person who actually may have seen you interact with your sibling. And they believe that they can talk to you just like your sibling talks to you. They can kind of cross that boundary of physicality or proximity because they saw you interacting with your sibling. But so when they say something and do something that really crosses that boundary and you don't say anything, shame on you. When you're accountable and you say something, that's when you set the line. Now, saying what your boundary is not always verbally. You don't always have to say, hold on just a second, you crossed the line. What you just said was disrespectful. Right? You didn't know it was disrespectful, but it's disrespectful. I'll give you an example. If you are engaging with a person or a group of people and they just use an awful lot of profanity, and that's something that you don't do. Now you can curse or cuss with the best of them, but this person just is a potty mouth. Just lack of vocabulary and everything is profanity. And they've crossed the boundary. You don't always have to verbally say, hold on, why are you cussing so much? Right? You're dropping a lot of epithets and negative things and name calling. You just rude and disrespectful. You don't always have to say that. Sometimes you can just remove yourself from the conversation. Sometimes you can project some energy that the other person, if they're picking up on the cues, can catch and change. I've done it. I've had folks around me cussing and fussing in private conversations, public conversations. And sometimes when they drop the MF word or the B or the anything, I'm like, ooh. You know, what I say? What I say? I mean, I think you may have said 18 cuss words out of 20. So I would just assume that you're angry, right? Or that's just the way you talk. Verbally set the boundary. You also have to know when you have crossed the boundary of someone else. Yeah. I've been, I have a style of personality where I don't like to be within someone's 2 foot buffer, that 2 foot space around someone's right person. I don't like to always be in that space. I'm not a close talker, right? I'm not one that talks to you right in front of your face, 6 inches, right? I'm not leaning in to whisper in your ear. I take cues, right? If you want to share something a little more private, I can lean in, sure. But I'm not the one that comes in and crash into your 6 foot or 2 foot wall. That's not me. I keep a little distance, right? I like to shake hands, maybe hug, dismount, and be at what I call a respectable space. I'm not a loud talker. I have a booming voice when I want to use it, but I'm not one to just be heard by the people at 3 tables away from me. I went out to eat last night with the wife, and it was a couple, just two. They were 3 tables away. We heard their entire conversation. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to one another or trying to get me in your business? Because right now I'm in your business, and I'm about to tell you I don't want to be in your business. Shut that. If you could be quiet, please. Just my wife, bless her heart, she carries earplugs with her. Boop. So when I talk to her when we're out to eat or at a sporting event, I got to talk close to her. You want some popcorn? She nods her head. You got to know someone, you got to know your own boundaries. You have to be able to articulate when someone has crossed your boundary. Very good. Let's keep going with the key characteristics of challenging personalities. Dominating behavior, trying to control situations, not allowing others to contribute. I would like our community to chime in here. I want to ask you, if you are engaging with that dominating, controlling personality, how do you deal with this? You may have someone that's trying to dominate and control you. You may have someone that's trying to dominate or control your son or your daughter, your significant other, your boss, your manager, your colleague or direct report. But this person has a dominating behavior personality. I have one of those in my life, always trying to control stuff. I wish they would stop. Enough is enough. Be happy. I'm talking to you. Be happy. And stop trying to be a problem in someone else's life. Let folks fly away and achieve their own dreams. And so I know the person I'm talking to is not watching this particular conversation, but there may be people that know this person. Get the message back to them, because I've been trying to get the message to them for about 18 years. I'm happy. Be happy. Stop trying to control everything, because I am one to believe that there are a lot of things that we cannot control, but God knows. God sees everything. And God does not like ugly. Stop being ugly. It's not a good look for you. It's not a good look. Right? This goes for this person I'm talking to, and it goes for me too. It goes for folks who are thinking something that's ugly or stinking, and then it has no filter from their thought into their speech. They think ugly things, they say ugly things, and now they become an ugly person. Dominating behavior. Right? Excessive criticism, gossiping and rumor spreading, passive aggressive behavior. Right? These are all good. Tracy, thanks for chiming in this morning and jump in. Hey, Tracy, let us know if you want to join us live. We have an opportunity to send you a link You can join us live to share your thoughts, right? If you join live, Tracy or anyone else, I just ask a couple of things. One, speak your truth. This is a diversity conversation, and I, like Eric, can have a conversation about anything and everything. Some things we may take personally because it's a personal experience that we go through. Some things we do not take personally, and we're just hearing the other side. All right. So we're going to invite Tracy to the stage. I'm going to ask our producer, Lydia, to work with Tracy and bring her to the stage. I'm excited about Tracy. I don't know Tracy as well as Eric does, but join this morning, Tracy, and really bring light and energy to this conversation. Again, we can talk about anything and everything. And as we know, speaking your truth, and speaking such that in the event that we have some younger people joining us, that they get a good representative of strong conversation. Yeah, we don't always have to cuss, fuss, yell, and scream. Sometimes we can just politely and diplomatically disagree or emphatically agree. So we're going to try to get Tracy online here. And if you are interested in joining Tracy and I on this call, on this conversation, come on, good folks. I think we can have upward of 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 people. And join us. You'll be connected with Lydia, our producer, and she will bring you, backstage, right? Make sure that you are who you say you are, that you're not a robot or some AI creation, that you are actually a living person. If you agree or not, we can have the conversation. I enjoy different personalities. And so let me share with you a couple of techniques of how to handle challenging personalities. Open communication. Communication is a two-way street. It's not one way, dominating one way, my way, the only way. It's hearing the other person, right? It's addressing concerns directly and calmly, maybe even using I statements. Not saying, well, they had said, or we. Who are the they and who are the we? Expressing your thoughts and accepting others. That's good. That's open communication. T. Cooley, what's up, man? Appreciate you joining us. T. Cooley joining us from out west where it's best, LA. Come on now, T. Cooley, right? Love the family joining, man. Love the family joining. He says, right, in case one has to step forward and take control, as long as no one's feelings is harmed or hurt. That's good. That's good. So the intention is to not harm or hurt. Sometimes in our delivery, we do just that. If the other person is hurt or harmed and they share with us verbally or non-verbally, we have to pick up the cue that they have been hurt or harmed and pivot, adjust. Don't double down and triple down on the hurtful and harmful language. Don't do it. Because that may be your personality trait. If you find yourself missing the cues of people who have been hurt or harmed, and you double down, you triple down, you are a bully. And sometimes bullies have to be dealt with. There's a lot of people in this world running around scared from bullies. I'm not going to name any names, but you all see them and hear them on TV. They're bullies. And everyone is not equipped to deal with the bully. But then there are other personality types that you know and that you trust that are chopping at the bit to come and defend you. You all with me? Oh, yeah. We're going to use those I statements. Thank you, Jeff. My late sister, Diane, may she rest in peace. Oh, my sister, Diane. She was a ride or die woman, at least for me, at least for my sister, Anita. Oh, yeah. Diane was the pit bull always on the chain. We was always hold on, die, hold on, die, hold on. We call it die, right, for Diane. Hold on. She was always ready to go. She was the life of the party. She had all the jokes. She could dance her behind off, and she can cook her behind off. But if you crossed her or someone she loved, she gonna take a chunk out of that behind. Personality. There were many conflicts that I had that Diane will be waiting. You ready for me to take care of this? Yes, ma'am. She would go in hard. Right? Thanks, Tracy. Tracy apologizes. Right? No worries. Recently not working due to health. Right? Had a stroke. Oh, Tracy, I did not know this. Right? May you continue to recover well. Godspeed to give you comfort, to give you grace when you may be struggling through this. Right? We'll have you on board to be able to join. Again, our producer Lydia has put some things in line, so feel free to come on. Right? Jeff says, again, personally, I like to use the pregnant pause. Yeah, I like that. And then question statement methods. The pregnant pause. Sometimes we jump in, just give a little pause. Thank you, Jeff. And then go to a couple of questions. Why did you say that? Help me understand what you mean by that. Can you tell me a little bit more? Where did you hear that from? Wow, that was interesting. That was interesting. I don't know if I fully agree or disagree for that matter, but again, another pregnant pause. Have your listener leaning in and at the same time diffusing some energy. Yeah, you're diffusing some energy. Because sometimes the energy comes spiking up. We give the pregnant pause. We're following with questions. We're not judging. We're not criticizing. We're not doing all of the challenging personality traits that we don't like. We're not doing all of those. Jeff, I love that technique. That was excellent. Right? Continue to share some best practices. This is a diversity conversation. There's not one way to solve everything. And if you are a human being and you've had the blessing of experiencing life, I would imagine that you have come across a challenging personality. A few more techniques, right? Set clear boundaries. You have to set the boundaries for other people to know. It doesn't mean that other people are always going to follow those boundaries, because some folks are just habitual line steppers. That's what Charlie Murphy said, right? Chappelle on the Chappelle show. Just some folks are habitual line steppers. They are always stepping over the line. Sometimes you have to draw that line and you have to double back to the line and kind of draw the line again. Sometimes you have to build a damn trench. Make it across that. Put some water in it. Now you're in a moat, right? You build a little moat around yourself. Look, these folks always crossing the line, overstepping the boundaries. And I know I made it clear. Some folks are selfish out here, good people. They actually don't care about your boundary or you. They're going to go wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do. Go to a shopping mall, go to a grocery store, and watch all the habitual line steppers. I'm talking about those who step over the line of respect, maybe even dignity. Yeah. Yeah. You see some folks like, ooh, um, and sometimes we get a little judgmental. At least I'm going to use I statements. Thank you. Let me self-correct. I'm going to use an I statement. I go to the grocery store and I see some behavior of folks, or maybe even how folks are showing up in the grocery store. And I say, I know my parents didn't raise me like that. I would never come out of the house looking like that. I got good friends like Michelle Gibson and her family, a well-respected family. Michelle knows she would never show up in the grocery store looking like a hot mess. Now, for those who do not know Michelle Gibson, it's very difficult for Michelle Gibson to look like a hot mess. This woman is beautiful. It's what we call a go hard star. This woman is beautiful. Her husband, dapper, handsome, put together. They're a power couple. I'm always a little jealous of how they've been able to weather the storms of not only their own personality traits, but I'm sure other folks. We have the personality trait called the hater. Yeah, you all know the haters. Yeah, the haters, they're out there. But there's ways to deal with the hater. First, we can actively listen to the hater. Yeah. When we're actively listening to the hater, to the challenging personality, we're hearing something not only on the surface, but also deeper down. We may have the answer for that person. If we don't have the answer for that person or those people, we may be able to direct them to the answer. Let me give you an example. I've been in a conversation with a person who was complaining, who had a lot of, ugly language to say about other people. And as I actively listened to them, I realized there's some self-hate here. There's low self-esteem here. Oh yeah, there's lack of love somewhere here. I've seen it. I've seen it. And so when I acknowledged that in my own head that there was some lack of love, I gave them love. I did not give them fight. I did not give them hate. I did not give them the same energy that they were sharing with me about me or with me about someone else. I gave them love. I was actively and empathetically listening to them. It's a skill because I did not want to absorb the energy that they were giving. I wanted to protect my peace and protect my happiness. That's what we have to do to handle these challenging personalities, right? We have some fear-based beliefs. Yes, we do. When we understand that we can express compassion to who? To others. How and why can we do this? Because we have compassion for ourselves. We're giving a part of us in handling challenging personalities. We're giving compassion. We're giving grace. We're giving patience. Another way to handle challenging personalities is focus on the task. So we can remove some energy, some emotion, some personality from the task. Just had a conversation with a wonderful partner and client this week. They had their executive team come together and they were going through some succession planning. And the leader, executive leader of human resources, she had reminded us all that as we go through this succession planning process, and for those who don't know what succession planning is really identifying people and developing them, promoting them into the next level of roles, responsibilities, maybe even leadership. So we're identifying people for future opportunities, succession planning. And part of this plan was to identify who those people are that we might want to invest in to promote to higher levels in the organization. And this executive said, before we start, time out. Let us be sure that we are removing our relationship with the person and their personality and focus on their performance and the job roles and responsibilities that we would like them to go into. Take the personality out from the performance. When dealing with difficult personalities on a personal level, sometimes we have to remove the person or the personality from the behavior. Yep. If we don't do that, we are bringing our own lived experience with that person into the current situation. That's what we do. We are double clicking on our history with the person. Click, click. Oh, I remember how they disrespected my mother back in 1985. I remember how they talked all crazy at the club back in 91. Right? I remember when they RSVP'd for the dinner party and never showed up, and then followed up with some lame excuse about how they couldn't attend. I remember when they told me they were going to take me somewhere and they never did. And more, in fact, they told me they were going to pick me up from the airport because they invited me into their town and they wanted me to spend 4 days with them, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday. And they never showed up at the airport. Yeah, I still remember that. Yeah, sure, that was back in 1991, but it made me feel a certain way. Now they're asking me to come out and join them for the holiday season. After last year, they came out to our place. The year before that, we went over to their uncle's house. The year before that, they came over to my cousin's house. So for the last 4 years, we've been able to come together. And then 4 years before that, we were meeting virtually due to COVID. 8 years of sustained promises met. But you go back and remember 15, 20, 30 years ago and bring that up to the current day. That's double clicking on past experiences to deal with the person today. Focus on the task. Focus on the current conversation or situation and seek support. In other words, how do you handle personalities? Sometimes you have to seek out support. Ask another trustworthy person. Not necessarily about the person, but about the behavior. In other words, you may ask, listen, Lydia, I've been dealing with this particular person who, I don't know how to say it, but they are kind of disrespecting me at every turn. And they're not only disrespecting me directly, they're disrespecting people who I respect, who I love, who I cherish. But I am not controlling how they show up in events. In other words, I don't necessarily invite them to these events. It is my mutual friend, our mutual friend, who invites them to the event. But our mutual friend does not hear the person complaining about them or complaining about the situation, right? So-and-so invited us over to the party and they don't even have this type of beverage, or they don't have these cigars, or they don't even have these particular gifts. They don't even have enough room to sit down. And I'm listening like, If this was my party and I heard you complaining to anyone or to me about what you're complaining about, I would say, go home, be out. And or you don't have to go home, but you all know the end. You got to get the hell out of here. That's how I'm dealing with those challenging personalities through proximity. I just fade back, be out, or be talked about. That's what my friends in college used to say all the time: be out or be talked about. Right? And I still do this with the last point, with empathy. Try to understand the underlying reasons for their behavior, but don't excuse inappropriate actions. Yeah. Don't excuse inappropriate actions. Sometimes that pregnant pause, as Jeff was saying, is needed to listen not only to them in their kind of challenging stuff, but also listen to yourself and how you're actually dealing with it. Sometimes we're not dealing with things well in our own head. Yeah. So part of handling other people is first handling yourself. Yep. Handling yourself. You are getting so emotionally hijacked by their behavior, by their personality, or even by their preference. Not yours, theirs, right? They're complaining about the practice, and you are Allen Iverson at the podium. We're talking about practice. We're not talking about the game. We're not talking about life. We're talking about the toilet paper, the toothpaste, the he said, she said. We're talking about practice. We're not talking about the game of life that we're all trying to survive and in some cases win, right? And winning is however you define it. Some people, they're talking about practice. They're talking about some things that may not matter if you miss one, right? If you missed all the practices, then you don't play in the game. Now, practices are important. If you miss one practice or make one mistake, we're talking about that mistake. We're talking about practice. We're not talking about the game here. You all get the point. Go back and YouTube Allen Iverson, and we're talking about practice. The entire interview, not the sound bite, the entire interview where the interviewer was talking about practice. And Allen Iverson back in the day was trying to make that point, and it became silly. Sometimes the energy that you invest in other people's challenges is downright silly. Stop it, good people. Stop investing valuable energy, time, and space to other folks' foolishness. Huh? Are we having a conversation this morning? This is a diversity conversation around challenging personalities. Stop giving them that. I've developed a phenomenal skill, I think, in being present and being gone in the same space. I can be present with foolishness and not be there. I've been at parties and social events and other events, and folks are doing crazy stuff. And because of my energy, my nonverbal communication, and my verbal communication, folks know that I'm not on it. Sometimes that's the way you have to handle these personalities. Don't stay with it. Move on. With that being said, we have to move on. We have to move on throughout our day to day. And I want to say thank you on behalf of myself, Tommy Lewis, and my brother, Eric Ellis, Safe Travels E, that we move on today, as well as into the holiday season, not only acknowledging and understanding those challenging personalities, but not being the challenging personalities to others. Be one that is kind. Be one that brings value, adds inspiration. Be that person. And at the end of the day, be you. Thank you for joining us this week on Diversity Conversations. We'll see you next week in another installment of Diversity Conversations. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the world. Bye now.